If you're just using ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini to get stuff done, to work on your English skills, you might be missing something very big. And that very big thing is Codex. What is Codex? Well, you might have heard of it as OpenAI's coding platform for building applications and websites, and maybe you thought, I'm not interested in building anything. I don't really need to know what that is. But that might be the mistake, because Codex isn't just for coding. Codex can do things that ChatGPT cannot. So I'm in Codex, you download it on your computer, and you can just have a ChatGPT conversation, like, how are you today? You can just do regular ChatGPT things. But then you open up plugins, and that's where you start to see the real differences. So basically, plugins allow you to connect to all sorts of different things, different platforms, different functionalities. So, for example, you can connect to your Notion, you can connect to Google Slides. By the way, Codex has its own built-in browser. You can allow it to use your computer, and yes, it does use your computer. Connect to your Gmail, your Google Drive. So there are all kinds of different things that you can connect to, but it doesn't stop there. Codex can also work locally. So you may have seen my earlier video about Claude Cowork, where you use a folder on your computer and you can add files to it, and then Claude Cowork can go through those files, create new files within that folder, right? And that allows it to have a kind of deep local memory, a deep context. Codex does that too. Codex is kind of like Claude Cowork and Claude Code put together. You can build stuff, you can also integrate with everything, and you can create skills. And that's what I want to focus on, because I think skills are where it all comes together. When you create a skill, you're basically teaching Codex, and by the way, you can do this in Claude too. Maybe I'll do another video about that. You're teaching Codex to do a particular thing. You're able to do it very specifically, and you're able to tell it which plugins to use. Go open a browser and do this, search for this, then take that information and put it in my Google Docs, then make a presentation, then take that presentation and email it to me or someone else. So you start to gain this ability to just say, hey, do this thing now, run this skill now that I've taught you, and it can just go off and do all of that. Between all of these different plugins and the folder on your computer and the ability to search online and use a browser and control your computer if you let it. So here are a bunch of skills that already exist, which are connected to existing plugins for Google Calendar, find availability, for example, free up time, for example. But I want to create a new skill, and I want to use the skill creator. So that's kind of cool. There's a skill for creating skills. So this is just a prompt to create a skill. I want to create a skill called English in the Wild. And I don't want to do English practice. I want to just go about my day doing what I do. And I want my skill to be able to go find that stuff that I do, like my emails, and then identify things that I can do to improve, not just corrections, but maybe to be more articulate, to change my tone, gaps, things I might be missing, more natural phrasing, and maybe specific examples from others with a similar style or tone. Now think about doing this for meetings. If you have a meeting recorder, your meetings are recorded and you get transcripts from your meetings, then you create a skill that automatically analyzes your last 2 meetings and goes, here are a bunch of things that you could have said differently based on what you actually said. So when you said this, maybe you could have done this, and you could generate a morning report based on how you expressed yourself in your meeting to have a feedback loop without ever practicing English, right? You're just at work. So anyway, this is the basic idea. Let's go through the process here. You can set the different level of thinking. I usually just set it to medium. Okay, so the skill is created. When I run the skill, it's going to go to Gmail and look for my sent emails. It's going to do a fingerprint analysis, basically to analyze the style of my writing to get a complete picture. Then it's going to find other similar examples with a similar tone with citations so that I can actually click on them. And then it's going to put all of that in a Notion report, which is dated English in the Wild, and then the date, so that I can see over time how I'm doing with my daily communication. So when I find a skill, you just do / and then you name the skill. It's going to run this. And again, it's powerful because it's not just making this up. I don't have to paste in samples. I'm just doing my thing. It's going out, connecting to Gmail, connecting to Notion, browsing online, finding citations. It's doing all kinds of agentic work. And then it just shows up in my Notion. I can go have a coffee. It's pretty crazy, right? Okay, so it's in my Gmail. It's reading my emails. It's a little scary. Now it's searching the web for similar content based on the kind of stuff I talk about. It has the context. I'm often responding to sponsor opportunities or people who are reaching out to me. I'm often responding very quickly and not thinking carefully about, how to really sell myself. And I'm often not putting as much effort as I could into my email responses. I'm usually just sending off a quick email that's grammatically correct, but could be more thought through. Okay, now it looks like it's opening up Notion to create the report. I've already given it permission for Notion, but it might have to ask this time because I'm running this skill for the first time. Creating the page. Okay, it says done. I created the Notion report here. Your English in the Wild, and then the date. Okay, let's see how it looks. Okay, so based on the 5 most recent real emails that I've sent out, it seems like I'm, as I said, focusing on sponsorships and brand negotiations. It's giving me a general profile or fingerprint, consistently semi-formal, clear, practical, and low friction. Okay, that's good. Core rhythm, short greeting, quick acknowledgement, 1 concrete offer, requested assets, simple closing. Yeah, sounds about right. That is kind of what I do. My common openers, okay. Sentence style, mostly active and direct with moderate sentence length. Okay. So that's the analysis of the style, but where's the gap? Based on my emails, where's the gap? Your current style is clear and cooperative, but it often moves too quickly from this seems relevant to price deliverables. Fluent native business writing in creative sponsorship contexts usually adds 1 extra layer. It makes the brand feel the business outcome before discussing the format. And that's exactly how I kind of felt, but it's nice to see that, and it's nice that it was able to pick up on that. I do feel that's a weak area. Now, again, we're not locked into this. This is just one very specific example. Think about having a style guide that's in a local folder on your computer and 10 examples of writing that you think is great, then using a skill every time you are trying to communicate with a colleague or whatever that references those files to help you express your ideas as you want to express them, right? Based on files, standards, criteria that are on your computer. And then because everything is connected, that can go in an email, that can go into Notion, that can go into a PowerPoint. Create a PowerPoint deck with my tone, my writing style. Here's 10 examples in this folder. Make sure you check those. Here's basically what it's about. Create a few images, put it into the presentation, do one of them in Google Slides and create another in Canva, right? The possibilities are almost endless. There's too much to talk about. It's crazy. Okay, so try this week. Add 1 value sentence before your price. Use this formula. This fits my audience because specific audience need. Okay, yeah, I'm going to take that on board. That's good. And then some actual sources that it pulled in as it was doing the research. And so now I have this little skill, like a little crystal. And every time I need it, I just say, hey, go do this thing. And it goes and does the thing. And then boink, it pops up in my Notion. Or boink, it pops up in my Google Docs. Or boink, it pops up as a local file. Or whatever. Or I get an email. It can be almost anything. That's what's really, I think, shocking almost about this. But you could go a step further. You could create a skill where it goes off and does a bunch of research, finding interesting things, collecting the sources, the links, and then finding useful language within those sources, creating a document that you can review and practice every day. Maybe it goes to your email. Maybe it goes to your Google Calendar and it shows up and you open it on your calendar as a thing you have to do today. You click on it, you go through it, you practice, you review, and that happens every day. Because you can also create automations. You can schedule this skill to run every morning at 10 a.m. And boop, it's there on your calendar. And you go through it, and then you're done. Now, I also was playing around with the computer use skill. I wanted to see if it could kind of take me on a tour. So I asked it to, number one, go into Google Chrome and browse apartment listings, and then take specific things from one listing, add it to an Apple Notes note, and then create dialogue that I could use if I were going to reach out to the landlord about that listing. And it did that. And I was just watching it happen on my computer. It was moving back and forth between apps. You can do a lot of these things in both Codex and Claude. And this is to say nothing of actually coding stuff, vibe coding, creating tools, which is a whole other thing. The interesting thing about Codex and Skills and plugins is that it feels all very integrated, right? You could have a chat, you could build something, a website, and you could create automations and practice your English. And Skills are kind of the custom, personalized, feels very personal intelligence that makes it all run, that makes it feel like much more than just using ChatGPT, having a back and forth conversation. It makes it feel like we're getting into a different phase of AI. It feels like something different is happening here. Maybe I'll do another video about Skills in Claude. It's very similar, but Claude has its own nuances. So let me know if you want me to do a video about that. I use Claude a lot. If you have any other requests or ideas,